Way on a Friday from Mobile, Alabama. We are in the Civic Center, second consecutive year that we've had volleyball here in the postseason in the Civic Center. Robert Williamson set to bring in the coverage, as on the far floor from where I am situated are the Saints and the Wildcats, LBW and Pearl River. Pearl River out of Region 23, sporting a 23-13 mark overall. They are decked out in the white and maroon. Meanwhile, in the blue, it is LBW, and we've got this one underway. Drive from the right side, dropped in. That is Elizabeth Bean delivering. And LBW will take the opening point in this one. So a one-zip advantage. Saints quickly taking the serve over. Back to do so is Brianna Smith, the freshman out of James Clemens. What a year for the Saints out of the ACCC. And won a ball game last night, by the way. Bishop State and Lawson State, the play-in game. As that is bumped over to the mid part of the floor, driven across by Madison King. Able to get to it is the libero. That will drop in. And the Saints will take an early 2-zip lead. And Brianna Smith, the freshman out of the north part of the state, James Clemens High School, where a good friend Johnny Johnson is the head baseball coach. Bumped over by King. That is dug out by De Jesus De La Torre. And it will travel off Wildcat fingertips in the early advantage, belonging to the Saints by 3. 3-zip start, and Smith will send it over. It is bumped over to Bartholomew, the Brandon, Mississippi product, sending it over and delivering the first point of the contest for Pearl River. Well, we got a couple of ties this weekend with Pearl River. Volleyball here, and we have got some baseball taking place on the campus of Pearl River tomorrow and Sunday. Two-handed shove over by Elizabeth Bean into the backcourt. Mid part of the floor, it is driven over by Zationa Horn. And Saints getting the serve back, 4 serving 1. Got a couple of floors going on simultaneously. You don't see floor 1 or court 1. But Dallas Renzi with the call as Bartholomew delivers. And that is Bishop State taking on, let me look down to the floor and see, Wallace Hansville. Tipped over, shoved out of bounds. And Pearl River makes it a 1-point ball game. As the libero Lauren McLemore, the 5'2 sophomore from Brandon, Mississippi, goes back to serve. It is libero to Reese Smith. Bumped over by Hoffmeyer. Setting up the left side. Cross court. De Jesus De La Torre. And Saints taking a 5-3 lead, getting the serve back. Back to serve is Zationa Horn. Sophomore from Enterprise High School, but opted to play with the 1 team out of the South. Enterprise State wound up being the 2 team. That is sent over by De Jesus De La Torre. Driven a little bit too long, didn't catch any fingertips on the way out. And Saints doubling up on Pearl River, 6-3. Set by Gibson. And it's a 2-point game again. Serve back over to Pearl River. Checking into the lineup to do so is Delaney Sisson, the sophomore out of Auburn, Alabama. Dug out by Smith. Driven from the right side, down the line. And then put right back. Some outstanding attacks from Caroline Bailey. Saints jumped out to the early 3-zip lead. They have held on to the 3-point lead, now up 7-4, as it is served by Bailey. Then again, Saints doubling up on Pearl River. Well, this year Region 23 represented, which means Pearl River is in. And they are technically a North team. Compliments of a South team's win last night. Bishop State. Had Lawson State won that ball game, then technically Pearl River would have been a South team. And they come in as the 3 in the North. 8-5 game. Little discussion over at the scorers table, but we're ready for things to resume with Natalie Bartholomew serving. That is sent over by Bean. Bartholomew in the backcourt. Back set, driven down the line. Able to get to it was Bean. She got 4 hits one side of the floor, and it becomes a 2-point ball game. 8-6 contest. And Bartholomew again on the serve. Into the backcourt to Smith. Setting up De Jesus, and she'll crush it. I believe that was off Sisson. Got that long ponytail covering up the numbers on the back of the jersey, not to mention they are on the far side of the arena from where we are situated high above the Mobile Civic Center. And is dinked over by Sisson. And then driven over by Bean. Saints building a 4-point advantage, matching their largest lead. De Jesus with the serve. Setting up the left side. It is banged off the top of the net by Sammy Smith. And that shot goes long. Great to have you watching, whether it is on JockJive, our website, or on JockJive, our YouTube channel. Little dink over by Faith Peters. Saints back out in front by 4. And Reese Smith will serve. Smith, an 0.47 hitter with 26 aces on the year. Into the backcourt to Smith. Set to the mid part of the floor and then driven over by Zationa Horn. But a little too long with the shot. And it'll be Jolie Gibson serving. Sophomore, 5'7", Brandon, Mississippi is home for Gibson. Got the block. 2 in the neighborhood, King and Hoffmeyer. And it becomes a 2-point ball game with 9. I believe that is 9 serving 11. Again, I'm looking to the far side of the floor, and now the scorekeeper at the table going, okay, let's adjust things. And yeah, 9-11. Meanwhile, on the adjoining floor, Wallace Hansfall in a Bishop State timeout with an 11-7 lead. Free ball sent over. Shoved over to the left side of the floor. It is driven across by Bean, but returned nicely by Gibson. And Sammy Smith trying to get it inside the antenna, could not. Brianna Smith, the freshman, back to serve. Smith with a team-leading 64 aces this year. A team in LBW that hit 222. Illegal hit for the Wildcats. And Smith serves again. And that will drop. It two-hopped right in front of the libero, Lauren McLemore. And the first 5-point lead of the game belongs to the Saints as Brianna Smith will serve again. Yeah, those 64 aces, more than twice as many as the next nearest Saint. To the mid part of the floor, Horn shoving it over. Timeout on the floor asked for by Pearl River as LBW takes a 15-9 advantage.
State this year in 43 matches. Almost 13 kills percentage. That will be a kill for Chloe Jackson once again as she'll be subbed out. 13-7 here in set number 1. 225 win percentage for the Lions this season. Phenomenal numbers. As that will be possibly another service ace. But that will make it over the net. Nice diving play right there from Jemison. Tipped over now, go off of Jemison, and it'll be a kill for the Lions. Make it 14-7. The largest lead of set number 1 for the Lions so far. Like this state got off to a great start to this set.
Back to the volleyball coming out of the Pearl River timeout. LBW with the advantage of 6. Largest lead in the opening set, opening match on court number 2. Dug out by Gibson. Over to the left side, Smith sending it over into the backcourt. Set to the mid part of the floor, and then a little too wide with the shot from Horn. So Pearl River scores coming out of the timeout. Back to a 5-point game. Cross-court kill attempt by Bailey. It is tracked down in front of the Pearl River bench by Bartholomew. Driven over right side Smith, and that will travel out. And yep, we got a couple of Smiths, one on each side of the floor. For LBW, the Smith is Brianna and Reese. And for Pearl River, the Smith is Sammy. So a total of 3 Smiths playing. As that is bumped over to Bartholomew, drives it across. Smith there, setting up De Jesus, reaches, couldn't quite tip it over. Bumped over to Bartholomew, drives it from the left side. It is blocked by Bean. Make that Bailey, Caroline Bailey with the block. And LBW back out in front by 6, a 17-11 advantage. Got the ace, 222 of them on the year. And that is Horn delivering with her 4th. Boy, when you've only got 222 and just 4, that's an impressive place to pick up your 5th one. 12 serving 18. Back onto the floor is Delaney Sisson, the 5'5 sophomore from Auburn, Alabama. Drives it into the backcourt to De Jesus. That is shoved over but wide by Bean. Back-to-back points for Sisson and company. Delivers to the opposite side of the floor. Bartholomew able to block the Bailey shot, 3 straight. And it's a 4-point ball game as Pearl River tries to get back into the opening set. Dug out by Bailey. Smith picks it up. Back set. Sent over by Bean. Saints by 5. Served up by Brianna Smith. Sent down the line, sent off of Saint. That is Bailey that got a hand on it, but could not return a pass. Saints are now 6 away from taking the opening set. Pearl River is 10 shy of the mark that would give them a 1-0 advantage. Natalie Bartholomew on the serve. Bartholomew, a 193 hitter. Over to De Jesus, drives it, Bartholomew there. Bumps it over to Smith, tips it over with a left hand. Back to the mid part of the floor, driven over by Peters. Smith reaches up, tips it out of bounds. Salom de Jesus de la Torre, the freshman from East River High School, serving it up. 48 aces on the year for de Jesus. Over to the left side, driven cross court by Bean. And the Saints 4 away from wrapping up the opening set. Time out on the floor. It is asked for by Pearl River.
Riley Jones, sophomore from Jones Chapel, Alabama.
21-15 ball game. Saints with a lead, 4 away from taking the opening set. 10 shy of that mark is Pearl River. By the way, we are, both me and Dallas Renzi, who's calling court 1, probably about 12 feet apart. So, possibility you get a little play-by-play. It's bonus play-by-play. Some coverage of the Bishop State-Wallace-Hansville matchup. 22-15 game, 7-point lead, first 7-point advantage. That'll kiss the top of the net and sail over from Lily Franks. And Pearl River not calling it quits yet in this opening set. Lily Franks, the Ocean Springs product, back to serve. Got the back set. Reaching over is Peters with the left hand. Did she drop it in? She does. And Reese Smith, the libero, will serve. A Clay Chalkville product. Serves it to Bartholomew. Back set, Franks dropping it in the corner. (17 serving 23) here at the Mobile Civic Center. Nice crowd on hand watching the opening round of games. And the good thing about the two courts is, heck, you can watch a couple of games simultaneously without having a couple of computers nearby. Setting up Smith, drives it, sticks it into the net. And the Saints now a point away from wrapping up the opening set. Brianna Smith, the freshman, will serve. 24-17 Saints lead. That is bumped back over to, I believe that was Peyton Hoffmeyer, and Hoffmeyer sending it into the net and sending the Saints to an opening set victory. These two teams have met twice already this year, and the Saints have won both of the prior meetings. This is the biggest of the three now, though. It's to move on the winner's side of the bracket in the Gulf South District Volleyball Championships.
there will be a point here for Hansville. They can win the set right here. Number 21, Michaela Lindsay from Double Springs, Alabama, and her second year. Sends it over on the serve. The Bishops say keep the set alive. They will. But that'll be kill on the left side of the net by Megan Flippin. 24-17, Bishop State does not have any timeouts remaining here in set number 1. Hansville has all 2 of their timeouts remaining, but the way they've been playing here in set number 1, no need to use them. Lions with a chance to win it here, and they will not be able to do it. Looks like they're going to take the question, but they're doing a tough error. 24-18. Another serve upcoming here from Brayden Polston. Polston sends it away. Plays right to the one barrel. Chance here again. Off the hand of one of the Wildcats. That will be a...
We get ready for set number 2 at 25-17. Opening set win for the Saints. And by the way, in the opening set, on court 1, Wallace Hansville with the 25-18 win. So we've gotten both first sets underway and completed on courts 1 and 2 here at the Mobile Civic Center. Mobile, Alabama. I don't know how many years the Civic Center has been part of Mobile, but okay, I'm going to date myself. It was, I think, the 1980s. Came here for a Journey concert. So far back that Steve Perry was the lead singer for Journey. I'm trying to remember which tour it was, but a number of concerts here. Saw Kansas here years ago, back in the 80s. And of course, they've continued to host concerts over the years. Understand that there is a renovation that will take place here, about a $30 million renovation to the Mobile Civic Center. But it looks like where a lot of the venues, even here in Mobile, Hank Aaron Stadium, has now become non-existent for all practical purposes, but at least here in the Civic Center, it is going to be part of the norm to keep the Civic Center in place with that $30 million plus renovation scheduled to take place. Well, we are ready for set number 2. I mentioned these 2 teams have met twice previously in the prior meetings between the Saints and the Wildcats. Saints won both, but it was 3-1 in both instances. So Pearl River able to take one, and they take the opening point in this one. 1-zip advantage. Served over by Jolie Gibson. It is a set for Bailey, and Bailey driving it over. Bumped over to Bean, and Bean sending it across. And it becomes a 1-1 ball game. Make that a 2-0 ball game. And again, they're playing on the opposite side of the floor. A little difficult sometimes to pick up numbers, but I believe that is Gibson on the serve. Bumped over to Smith. Smith will tip it over. And then driven right back over twice for the mid part of the floor by King. Bartholomew backcourt shot. Trying to pull it off the net, but unable to do so is Horn. And Pearl River takes the early 3-zip lead. Too long on the serve by Gibson. And the Saints' first point comes via the service error. First Saints serve. I believe that is Smith. Again, the distance and the ponytail sometimes creating a diversion. Nope, it is Elizabeth Bean, the freshman from Northridge, serving. And now a 1-point ball game with 2 serving 3. Bean drives it over, setting up the mid part of the floor. Smith will crush it. Pearl River back out in front by 2. Smith coming off the floor, checking back into the lineup is Hannah French, the sophomore out of Ocean Springs. And French will serve. Bumped over to DeJesus, and she'll drop it in front of the end line. Number one in the ACCC in kills, nearly 4%. Meanwhile, Zationa Horn will serve. French with it in the backcourt. It is driven down the line by Gibson. Setting up Bartholomew, drives it into the net. Saints tie it up at 4 each. And it's all been under the serve of Horn, who drives it into the net. And Pearl River now with a 5-4 lead. The libero serving, that is Lauren McLemore. Well, you give an open shot for DeJesus, and if you're on the other side of the floor, you're asking for trouble. DeJesus, not necessarily large in frame. She's about 5'6", but just great power. Over it goes to French. Right side drive. Smith able to pick it up. It is tipped across by Peters. Bumped over to Bartholomew. Shoved over to that power. DeJesus fisted over. I think that was Abby Franks getting a hand on it. Bartholomew trying to tip it over and can't. And the Saints will take their first lead in set number 2. 6-5 lead. And there is an ace. Caroline Bailey providing the ace. And again, Saints do this just about as good as anybody. The aces for Bailey, 59 coming in. I checked that, 11 coming in, 12th on the year. Tipped over to DeJesus, drives it over and off of Gibson. And the Saints, who were down by 3 early, have gone up by 3. Caroline Bailey serving. Picked up by Bartholomew. Over it goes to French. French will drive it. DeJesus able to get to it from the backcourt. That was, I believe it was Garner. And again, let me see if I can pick up some numbers and give you a precise name. That might have been Bean, who drove it from the backcourt again. Can I blame it on? Okay, I'm going to blame it on age and distance. These are age and eyes, and they're on the other side of the arena. Tipped over by Peters. Bartholomew for the left side. Picked up in the backcourt by Bean. Over it goes to DeJesus. And she'll make it a 9-6 game. And DeJesus will serve. Salome DeJesus de la Torre. Into the backcourt, Frank has got it. Got a couple of Franks on this Pearl River squad. Abby and Lily. That'll go into the net for Bean. 9-7 Saint lead as 7 serves 9. Natalie Bartholomew serving it up for Pearl River. 34 aces on the year for Bartholomew. What a nice return by McLemore. Smith gets into the backcourt. Over it goes to Bean. Drives it. Not able to return it was Gibson. And Saints with a 10-7 lead, trying to take a commanding 2-0 lead. Here in the opening match of the day for both. The loser of this one's got the loser of Bishop State Wallace Hansville later. And the winner of this one, the winner of Bishop State and Wallace Hansville, even a little later. 3 o'clock for the losers, 5 o'clock for the winners. Over to Bean, drives it too long. Pearl River's within 1. Check that. Apparently got fingertips on the way out. So scratch the point for Pearl River. Add it to the Saints. It's an 11-8 ball game. Didn't see the indication of fingertips. Smith with the serve and Smith with the drive. Covered goes to Bean. Blocked. That was Franks with the block. Lily Franks. Serve back over to the other side of the floor. Jolie Gibson, the 5'7" sophomore from Brandon, serves it. Smith on the receiving end. Bumped over to Bailey. Able to dive and get there. McLemore for the mid part of the floor. Bartholomew, a little too strong with the pass, but able to pull it off the net with Smith. Over it goes to Smith, and Smith drives it for one and makes it a 1-point game. Jolie Gibson serving. Drives it into the net. Elizabeth Bean, the freshman, serving. First pass from Hoffmeyer. Setting up the mid part of the floor. It is shoved over by Horn. Saints by 3 as again Elizabeth Bean will serve. Bean 24 aces this year, a 157 hitter. Smith looked like she was trying to decide midair as to which hand to use to flip it over to the Saint side of the floor, and that indecisiveness turns into the 14th Saint point as Bean sends it to McLemore. Gibson with a back set. King's kill blocked. Saints by 5, largest lead in the set. Timeout on the floor asked for by Pearl River. Saints winning the opening set, trying to win set number 2. Pearl River trying to even it up at a set apiece. Your 1 p.m. matchups, I believe here on 2, we'll have Calhoun and Coastal North. At the moment, Pearl River and the Saints. Fisted over by Bartholomew. Horn got there first. De Jesus driving it over. 6-point Saint lead. Wildcats the lead early. Saints tied it up relatively early and now beginning to pull away late. Reese with a dig. Back set, tipped over by Bean. McLemore able to get there. Gibson shoves it over to Smith. That will go off Smith. Sammy off Reese. And it's a 5-point game. Hannah French back onto the floor to serve. Hannah French, a 143 hitter on the year. Back to a 6-point Saint lead. Serve back over to the Saints. Adiona Horn serving. McLemore there first. Bumped by French. Over to King, and King will drop it in. Served up by McLemore, the libero. Setting up Bean. Bean finds a spot cross court that's empty, drops it in. Saints by 6. Caroline Bailey, the sophomore. St. Michael Catholic High School. Down in the Orange Beach area. St. Michael is where Philip Rivers, the former NFL coach, is the head football coach. Bumped over to De La Torre, and she'll drop it in the opposite corner. Saints by 7. Bailey serving. Bartholomew there first. Gibson with a back set. And is driven over by Hoffmeyer. Goes off Bean. Pearl River getting the serve back. Handling the chores is Delaney Sisson. Sisson with a total of 31 aces on the year. She is an 042 hitter on a team that hits 161. Over to De Jesus, and anticipating the power instead. De Jesus De La Torre will simply finesse it over. And the Saints build a 7-point lead. 5 away from a set 2 win for the Saints. 12 away from a 1-1 tie for Pearl River. Sent over by Bean, and diving trying to get there is French. Saints with a 21-13 lead. Driven over by Franks. Setting up Bean. Sticks it across, but blocked twice by, let's see if that was Franks. Got to give credit where credit is due. It was Abby Franks. And Bartholomew will serve. In a 21-14 contest, opening set, a 25-17 Saint win. And Pearl River hoping to knot it up. It is flicked over to Bean, drives it. McLemore able to get to it. Bumped over by Smith, into the backcourt. De La Torre there, flipped over by Bean. McLemore back set to Smith. Dug out by De La Torre. Bean with the tip. Bartholomew mid-court drives. Mid part of the floor. It is popped over by Peters. And that will drop in front of Reese Smith. Bartholomew again on the serve. The 193 hitter who has appeared in 36 matches, 135 sets, and she'll serve long. Saints serving, needing 3 to take a 2-0 lead. Libero to libero, Reese to McLemore. Sammy Smith drives it. And is shoved over by Horn. And Saints 2 away from a set 2 win. Reese Smith will serve. Launches it over to McLemore. Backset Bartholomew, and she'll go long. No Saint fingers on the way out, and the Saints by 9 at set point. Smith with the serve, lobs it over. Franks there, bumped over to Smith, drives it off the net. De La Torre tried to dig it out and couldn't. And it's a 24-16 game. Served up by Abby Franks. Smith there. Setting up Bean. Tip right back over by King. 2 in a row for the Wildcats. Franks will serve. Drops in the ace in front of De La Torre. 3 straight Wildcat points, all at set point. And it's a 24-18 game. Franks to Smith. Over it goes to Bean. Nice job of digging it out by Gibson. Horn off of Gibson, off Franks. And set number 2 belongs to LBW. So the Saints taking a 2-zip lead after a 2017 and 2018 win. We head to set number 3, a must-win set for the Wildcats.
24-10, the Lions can win the set right here. No room for error here for Bishop State.
Welcome back as we get ready for set number 3, a 2-zip LBW lead. And a must-win set for Pearl River. It's not a must-win to stay in the tournament. If you lose, you're still in a double elimination event, but you're a little closer to an exit. And the Wildcats trying to come back 2 down. Of course, we would have had a completely different look to this morning's games if Lawson State had won last night. If Lawson State wins last night, Pearl River is a 3 seed out of the South. But it was a Bishop State win, which meant Pearl River became a 3 seed out of the North. As we get the third set underway, Gibson able to get to the shot. McLemore. It is bumped over by Hoffmeyer into the backcourt to Bartholomew. Left side, Smith drives it across. De La Torre there. Over to Bean, tips it over. Nice dig by Smith, and then that will drop just in front of the sideline, and Pearl River in a must-win set, taking the opening point. Served up by Gibson. A little too strong with the opening pass, and that meant that it was going to be difficult for Brianna Smith to tip over. Couldn't. And Pearl River taking a 2-zip lead in set number 3. Gibson into the backcourt to Smith. Tipped over by Horn. That is bumped over to Smith, and Smith will drive it into the net. St. picking up their first point, getting their first serve as well. Here in set number 3, back to serve is Brianna Smith. I mentioned got a lot of Smiths. Got Reese, got Brianna, got Sammy. Bartholomew mid-court. Horn able to get there. Free ball bumped over by Bailey. Over to Sammy Smith. She'll drive it from the left side and drop it in. 2 prior meetings between these two teams, and in both instances, Pearl River won a set. If it's going to happen in the third meeting, it'll have to happen in set number 3. Of course, you got a Pearl River team that wants to win more than set 3. They wouldn't mind 4 and 5. French with a dive to get there. Bartholomew sending it over. Della Torre able to get to it. And is driven over by Bean. French got there. Gibson sending it back onto the floor. And sent back over by King. And is hammered over by Bean. Finally it is Horn who will drop it in. Saints within 1. Got the serve back. Elizabeth Bean doing the honors. So your 1 o'clock matchups, Enterprise State and Snead State on court 1. Calhoun and Coastal North on court 2. Horn tipping it back over. We're tied at 3. And then in your 3 o'clock matchups, your first elimination games, and your only elimination games today are at 3 o'clock. That'll go out of bounds off Horn. Pearl River getting the lead and serve back. McLemore serving. In your 3 o'clock games, the loser of the Wallace-Hansville Bishop State and the LBW Pearl River matches. On court 1, court 2, loser of Enterprise State and Snead State, and Calhoun and Coastal North. Gibson setting up Hoffmeyer, and Della Torre will drive it. Then, of course, 5 o'clock, you got your winter bracket games. Winner of Wallace State and Bishop State versus the winner of LBW and Pearl River. That'll go into the net. We're knotted up at 5. And your other 5 o'clock matchup, the Enterprise State Snead State winner versus the Calhoun Coastal North winner. Knotted up at 5 each. You know, the one thing we haven't seen thus far, which typically you do on these multi-court events, and that's a ball from one floor trickling on to the other. Hasn't happened yet. Della Torre, shot blocked by Franks, but it is blocked out of bounds. Saints with a 1-point lead. Caroline Bailey serving. And then, of course, tomorrow here, games at 11, 1, 3, and 5, but only one game, the 11 o'clock game, with both floors seeing action. After 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, all games on a single court, court 1, I would assume. But regardless of which court it's on, we'll be there. Pearl River getting the serve back. Bartholomew drifting behind the service line to serve. 6 serving 7, 1 point game. Smith got there first. Over to Dele Torre, and she'll knock it off Franks. It is an all Franks right side. You've got Abby and you've got Lily. Served up by Dele Torre. McLemore there first. Over it goes to Smith, and Smith will drop it in cross court. Abby Franks, the 5'10 sophomore from Ocean Springs, serves. Over it goes to Bean, and Bean with the kill. Samia Mason, sophomore in the game for the Saints. Reese Smith serving. Setting up Smith, drives it. Dele Torre can't return it. It's a 1 point game. Into the lineup to serve is Jolie Gibson. Hey, a lot of sports today, by the way. Not only volleyball here, got basketball tonight. Coastal South, Coastal North. Jason Thompson on the call. And then football tonight from Montgomery and Alabama Christian. Bayside Academy and Alabama Christian tangling. And we'll have that one for you too. Everything available on the website, available on YouTube as well. Hoffmeyer's shot blocked by Horn. McLemore dives and gets there, but a little bit too late. 4 hits on the Pearl River side of the floor makes it an 11-8 Saint lead. Trying to pull out the broom and get the sweep. And you got a Pearl River squad that says, nah, we want to make it a 2-1 game. Bailey a little wide with a shot. Pearl River serving. Hannah French. Reese Smith there first. Brianna Smith set to Horn. McLemore got a hand on it. Bean will drive it over from the left side. McLemore again there. Setting up Bartholomew. Shoves it into the backcourt. Smith able to get there. Bean tips it over with the left hand. Smith to Smith. Reese to Brianna. Driven over by Bailey. And somehow Wildcats return. Bartholomew over to Bean. It is blocked, but out of bounds by Hoffmeyer. What a battle between these two. 12-9 game. Served up by Bean. Bartholomew shot blocked by Horn. Horn got the block and looked around to see where it went. She knew she had gotten a piece of it, just didn't know where it landed. It landed on the Pearl River side of the floor. And Bean will serve again as the Saints pull out in front by 4. Over to Hoffmeyer. She will drop it in front of the sideline. Wildcats cut it to 3. McLemore will serve. A must-win set for the Wildcats. Saints have got a little they can play with. What a save by Bean. Reese sending it over. Bartholomew blocked by Horn. This time it is dropped in front of the sideline, and the Wildcats have cut the lead in half. It was 4, it's now 2. McLemore serving. Libero to Libero. Little errant with a pass. Dele Torre able to get there, but it's hit twice on the pass. And the Wildcats have made it a 1-point game. Too strong on the McLemore serve. Into the stands here at the Mobile Civic Center. Second year this event has been here. Over to Bartholomew, and she'll drop it down the sideline. Well, initially the official indicating a St. Point. Not sure what happened from this vantage point. Looked like it had been dropped in front of the sideline, and now they have indeed awarded the point to Pearl River. That has prompted a question from head coach Janie Wiggins. Wanted an explanation after the official initially indicated St. Point. Got a 1-point game with Gibson on the serve. Swatted over by Della Torre. 15-13 game. Served by Caroline Bailey. McLemore there first. And you got 2 hits on the set. Saints by 3. Not quite an hour into the match. Served up by Caroline Bailey. French gets there first. That is Frank sending it over. Della Torre dropped in front of the sideline. Saints by 4. And Caroline Bailey serving again. Into the backcourt to French. Over it goes to Franks. Della Torre drives it, drops it in. Saints by 5, Pearl River. Once time to talk. 5-point LBW lead, set number 3. Saints could sweep Wildcats. Trying to get to set number 4. Bartholomew drives. It is sent over to the opposite scorer's table. There's one of the few times the ball not quite onto the opposite floor, but near. They're right below the floor that you see. That scorer's table, that is to the adjoining court where Wallace Hansful and Bishop State are playing. Wallace Hansful currently with a 2-0 lead there. It is blocked by Peters. Smith sending it over. Smith able to get there. Setting up Della Torre. She'll drive it into the net. Wildcats within 3. And Bartholomew serving. Launches it over. Reese with a dig. Bumped over by Smith. Della Torre trying to find the opposite corner, and she'll go long. 3 in a row for the Wildcats. Makes it a 2-point game. Bartholomew serve. Mason back in. Della Torre's shot is blocked. Franks got up and blocked it. And the Wildcats have drawn to within 1. Bartholomew serving again. Mason there first. It is flicked over by Smith. McLemore pumping it to Sammy Smith, and she'll go long. Wildcats claiming fingertips. Apparently there were none. And the Saints with a 2-point lead with De La Torre serving. Smith dinking it over. Mason able to get there. Bumped over to Bean. Drives across court. McLemore and Bartholomew can't get there. And Saints with a 3-point lead. De Jesus serving. Bartholomew gets there first. Franks driving it over, and that is off fingertips. Bean got a hand on it. Pearl River not calling it quits yet. Abby Franks serving. Floats it over. Mason there first. Smith bumping it over to Bean. And you had 2 hits from one Saint, and you got the Wildcats within 1. "19 serving 20. Franks launches it over. Mason over to Bean. Nice return by Bartholomew. Pulled off the net by Smith. It is blocked by King. Over to Bean. Drives it. That'll go off Franks. Saints 4 away from taking the match victory. Wildcats 6 away from sending us to set number 4. Over it goes to King. Smith setting up Bean. Drives it. Drops it in. It got the antenna though. And the Wildcats are within 1. A 20-21 ball game. Jolie Gibson on the serve. Floats it to Mason. Smith setting up Bean. Dinks it over. Drops it in. Diving, trying to get the dig, but not able to do so. That was Sammy Smith. And the Saints 3 away from a 3-0 sweep. Smith, McLemore there first. Bumped over to Bartholomew. Sends it into the backcourt to Smith. Over it goes to Bailey. McLemore able to get a hand on it. Free ball sent over by Hoffmeyer. It is Bean who drives it. That will go off of Hoffmeyer. Timeout on the floor. Pearl River. Saints 2 away from a sweep, a win, and an appearance in the 5 p.m. contest. The ace is delivered by Brianna Smith. Saints are 1 away from the sweep. Match and set point for Brianna Smith. Launches it over. Bartholomew there first. A little too strong. It is tipped right back over by Bean. And the Saints have swept it. This one is final. Saints are into the 5 p.m. winners bracket game. Pearl River in a 3 p.m. must-win situation. 3-0. Saints win it 25-17, 25-18, 25-20. And your action on court 2 wraps up with Calhoun and Coastal North coming up. Might want to flip over to court 1. Dallas Renzi with the coverage. I see that Bishop State's got a 20-19 lead in set 3 with Wallace Hansful up by 2. So Bishop State trying to force a 4th set. Dallas Renzi's got the coverage. Check it out on JockJive. Ours has finished with a sweep. It is a 3-0 LBW win. They stay in the winner's bracket. That means they'll definitely be playing tomorrow and the elimination game later today for Pearl River. For all the folks with the ACCC and JockJive, hey, thanks so much for watching.